I'm moving the daggone thing around.
Oh,
Come on in, fam. Oh, taste and see our legacy. You know,
yes.
the Bible verse says, oh, taste and see that the Lord is good.
Mhm.
And the Lord is good. And the Lord has been good to us.
Yes.
And we have a legacy. And these segments are all about letting you really get to know our gifts, our legacies, which it's our people. We have so many gifted, talented people that were attracted to TLC. Some are still there, some have moved away. And tonight we have our very own Dr. Spencer A. Murray.
Yay.
Yeah, let him come on in, Spence.
Yes. People coming in now?
Yeah, I see three. I don't see a name yet.
Come on in, come on in, come on in. I don't see names. I'm gonna enlarge my screen and see if I can still see who's
Yep.
coming in
A
to say
minute.
hello. I always like to say hello to the first few people coming in. Man, taste and see, Rev. When you came up with this, when Spirit gave you this,
Yeah,
it was spot on.
it is.
It was spot on. Because we often look for legacy in someone else, and something else. We got talk about historical figures and all that. We talk about all that history and all that. But we are making history. You know what I mean? We are creating legacy right now.
Exactly.
And when
And
you when I,
Audra's on.
yeah, hey Audra, that's yeah, there she is.
She said, hello, my bro king and my darling Rev.
Man, hey sis, that's my
She
sister.
calls me, she calls me DDB, which is darling, darling baby.
DDB, there it is. All right, there it is. DDB. That's my
DDB.
yeah, man. We've been knowing each other for about over 40 years.
I know.
Over 40 years.
So
And
beautiful.
we were on the phone praising the other day through text. She was texting each other. I could feel her energy.
Because prosperity is flowing.
Yeah, it's flowing.
It's
It's flowing.
blessing.
Flowing. And when I think about all the people who have come in and out of the doors
Amazing.
of TLC,
It's been amazing. We've
it's
had
been
a great,
amazing.
we've
Yeah,
had a great, we're continuing
yeah,
to have a great journey.
yeah.
Well, we're 25, and that's something to celebrate.
Yeah, it is. It is something to celebrate and to watch each other grow. You know,
Yeah.
grow into these principles, right? Because you can learn them, right, and know them here, and then to watch each other, watch everybody grow into them.
Yeah. They walking it out. They living it. And
Yeah,
it shows. When
yeah,
you're living it, when you're working it, it shows.
yeah, yeah. And you got to live it. It's one thing to talk about it and read it, but live it. And so and that is a testament to the ministry, to you in the ministry, because uh as a leader, you allow people to grow. You know what I mean? You allow people to just be wherever they are. These are the principles, and you can take it and run with it. And so what's so interesting about it is that we can talk about the principles today, and we could have known the principle 15 years ago, but it's speaking to you totally different today, 15 years. You know what I mean? Because you live in it, and
Yeah.
you're experiencing life and experiencing God, and evolving into that thing. So that's powerful.
And I
That's
and I was telling one of my friends the other day that I feel like, the more we grow in it, it's like the spirit shows you even more, lifts the veils. Because really right now I feel like there are just veils that are lifted. These things have been here all the time, but I
yeah,
wasn't where I'm at.
yeah, yeah. I feel the same way. Where my the last, I would say, the last 5 to 7 years, the veil has been lifted. And which leads me into what I'm doing now. because a veil has been lifted. Because it's like when you keep growing through these growing in these principles, the lens that you look through, it changes and it gets clarity. You know what I mean? There's just, it helps you see different things and see yourself,
Yes, definitely.
see yourself and see different things. So when you talk about the veil, um, lifting the veil that you've been seeing life through, and so just the principles have just uh, allowed a freedom and a liberation to grow. And you know what? And that's when you allow people to do that, Rev. And you've seen this. We talked about it before. You've seen this. Yeah, people come and go, and that's okay. And people might even leave and come back to TLC because they're just they're growing and they're learning. But I tell you what, if you would have asked me, what's one thing I know for sure is you got to work these principles.
That's
You got to
right.
work these principles.
That's right. And when, as Johnny Coleman says, they work when you work them,
That's right. That's
and
right.
they don't work when you don't work them,
Yeah, yeah.
and they don't work when you stop working them.
That's right. That's right.
So there's no
That's right.
thing where I've gotten to this spot and I have arrived.
Mm-mm.
No, it's
No,
ongoing
no, no,
ever.
no. If you want to be peaceful, if you want to be prosperous, if you want to be healthy, if you want to be well, this is it. This is it. And so, man, to be there and listen, Rev, you talk about. I think about first. Well, let me say this, man. I was teaching. You remember teaching at Paul Robeson Academy.
That's where I met you,
That's where I met you,
through
and
Pat.
you know, and I met you through Pat Johnson. That's
Yeah,
why that's all. She's always so dear to my heart because Pat in 1993. I started at Park Rose in 1992, um, and Pat Johnson and Pablo were teaching at the academy, and we were all teaching together. And I was going through. I was teaching. It's one of my first or second years teaching. I was also going through a divorce. And so they saw me in the hallway. This is how spirit works. I was in the hallway and I had a book. I was carrying a book that I was reading through my off time, through a break when I had a break or something, and they saw me carrying it. And it was called the Tao of Teaching, TAO, the Tao, like the way of teaching, you
hmm
know. Uh,
hmm
and that's what it's called, the Tao of Teaching. And so it really was taking you deep into the whole it just was taking you deep into who you are with children, not just teaching the subject, but the way of teaching. It was just teaching the way of being a teacher. And Pat and Pablo at different times saw me with the book, and they knew I was going through a divorce again, and when Pat saw me with the book, we were already getting to know each other, and we began to talk, and she invited me to. She knew I was just searching. She knew I was a 26-year-old, got 26, 27-year-old young man just searching for truth.
That's how old you were when I met you.
Yep.
Oh wow!
I'm 57.
Woo!
I was 26 years old, 26, 27 years old. And she invited me to Unity Temple. She invited me to Unity Temple. Pablo invited me to the circle, to the circles of light, right? And they both, and from that point on, I mean, it was just the beginning of a journey. And that's when I met you, Pat. Pat introduced me to you,
Yeah,
and you were the assistant pastor at
Detroit
Union
Unity.
Temple.
Mm-hmm.
And Pat took me with her, took me under her wing, and took me with her on some workshops, and it just began like that. And then you went to school and came back, and like I told you before, I never forget you had that party. Oh, when you came back, it was in your basement, and you announced that you were starting Transforming Love. And I was coming when you were at University of Detroit on Outer Drive.
Yeah, that's where we began.
Yeah, right there,
Yeah.
right there. Yeah. me and Brooke came, and Brooke, you remember Brooke and somebody, it was somebody
Yeah.
else. Yeah, it was Brooke and somebody else. But we were all cool, and so man, that began. So you talking about 30 years, 30 years on this journey. 25 for TLC, of course, but then I mean, yeah, that was when I first met you. That was 20, maybe 28, 29 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what stands out for me, and then I want you to go wherever you want to go. But I always remember that cassette tape you brought me from Dr. From Tab. What's his
Sam,
name?
Samson.
Samson.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it impacted me so much because I remember that it was a conference, and I think that was the night that Dr. Sampson came to a realization that he had been thinking
Yeah.
in a very limited way regarding women in the
Yeah.
pulpit.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was asking for an apology that night. That was a powerful. I wish I could. I even got a cassette player, so if I found it, what?
I know that. I know. I remember that, and he was, that's just testament to his own growth and his own being able to have a revelation and give voice to it, and admit that and ask for that apology, man. And then Dr. K said the transformation station. Yeah,
You know, Dr. K.
yeah, the transformation station, man. That was something, man. And everybody who was there, I think about everybody there, Butterfly. I think about everybody who was there. I saw someone post the other day about Nickerson, who was at what's her name? Nickerson, Janet. She's at you,
Jackie
Jackie Nickerson. Someone posted. I saw someone post. Might have been Dr. Fabu. Someone posted. It was her
had her
birthday.
birthday.
I
Yeah.
remember her from Unity Temple and all those good people.
And she
Uh,
was my neighbor. Jackie was like 2 doors from me
wow, on
on
Green Line.
Fullerton. On Fullerton.
Okay.
That was on Fullerton when we connected.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so the searching for me, everybody has a different journey, but I will have to tell you that searching for me at 26 or 27 came out of pain, you know what I mean? And confusion, because um when you're broken, when you're broken and you don't know why you're broken, because what I do now with men and what I talk about now, when you have grown up in this type of culture where really you don't really access, you're not really permission to access your feelings and emotions because you've been taught that's the domain of women, you know what I mean? That you don't, you just man up. That's what you're supposed to do, just man up. And so what happens is so dangerous because it doesn't give some men access to their own feelings. And so, case in point, I was at a juvenile center the other day talking to some young boys about the same thing. And this one boy said, and I was talking about this whole thing of feelings and emotions. He said, sometimes I'm just mad and enraged and I don't even know why.
Yeah.
He said, I don't even know why. And so that is I'll picture manifestation of not being able to identify what you're feeling, not being able to even give voice to it. So all I knew is I didn't even know why. I didn't even know why the marriage ended. I didn't know why I felt the way I felt. I didn't know, I didn't know anything. And so, but what I was adept at doing, Rev, at that time, is walking around wearing a mask like I was okay.
We're conditioned for that, aren't we? Are
And
we
then
conditioned to do that?
wear a mask like I was okay. I ain't never gonna let nobody see my pain. I'm gonna walk around, and I was still, but I obviously Pat and Pablo could see something that was certain and invited me to these spaces. But that was the beginning. Now I'll have to tell you, Rev, and I'm sure it's the same for many people on this call. When you start getting new information and a new realization, there might be some years where you walking and you resisting because you've been programmed and indoctrinated for 30 years on in religion, you know, and in this seeking outside of yourself and this and that, and you're not taught to look inside and look at self. And so you're like, hey, you confused. What do you mean look at? What do you mean look at self? I had no idea what people gonna look, but I knew something resonated. That's why I came. But for
Right.
a while, Rev, I was doing both. You know, I was trying to learn. I was learning some new principles, but I was still um, in this space where I was still indoctrinated by the old these old teachings.
Yeah, it takes
You know,
time.
it takes a lot of time.
A lot of
It
time.
takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time, and so I was still in. I was still had situations and attracting people who were just situation people who are out picturing of my own confusion. You know what I mean? Then because you're gonna attract where you at, you're gonna attract where you are, and so uh it took a while because when you're indoctrinating this old stuff, the temptation is always to point outside of you to blame something else.
Yeah, we go to the default because
Yeah,
of conditioning.
right,
That's our
right.
default to go
Yeah,
back the way we used to be.
yeah. Back the way I used to be, I'm blaming everybody else because I don't want to take responsibility and accountability. I don't even know what that is and who that is, And so, um, yeah, I just began to grow and learn, and I think another part of that those growing pains is that you're going to have your relationships are going to change, even with your friends.
Yes.
Your relationships are
Yes.
going to change. You're going to lose some are going to change forms. And there's this temptation sometimes to want to hold on to relationships. So you wear a mask over here, but you still learn over here. You're still growing over here, and so it's like that scripture: a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways.
Yeah.
Being double-minded, it's really being double-minded, and it's just confusion. Is a lot of confusion and a lot of pain. And what I knew, Rev, at that time, I mean, I knew something new was coming in, but I also, in order to, at certain times to numb the pain or numb the confusion, is I would really overdrink. It was a time when I would hang out and I would just overdrink and numb myself with that, and numb myself with that and certain drugs and do that. And that certainly doesn't help. You think you in the moment, and being happy, having fun, but everything is still there when you wake up. Everything is still there. In fact, I've taken myself deeper into a pit, by trying to cope and finding some coping mechanisms that weren't helping. And so whatever that is for people that they can use those things. And so that was just the beginning of my journey. That kind of characterizes uh, um, my journey. And along that journey, I search for things and people to be a part of, to find some identity, because anybody who tells you that God and self are not intertwined, they're lying. You can't find God without finding self. You can't talk about finding without talking about self. And old
And
traditional people will teach you that self is selfish. That you're supposed to deny yourself. You ain't supposed to talk about self. You're supposed to deny yourself. You know what I mean? And so
yeah,
some people can feel guilty for even wanting to take care of themselves and to engage in self-care. You ain't supposed to do that. I'm supposed to take care of everybody else. I ain't supposed to take care of myself. You know what I mean? This whole idea
because
about
yeah, they have that scripture.
yeah,
They have that scripture. They don't understand that scripture. That
yeah,
scripture that says, "Loving the Lord God,
yeah,
all your heart, your soul, your neighbor as yourself."
right.
It's like yourself coming at the end, and people put themselves at the end,
And
and they think. Because I used to think, that's the way I was conditioned.
yeah,
That's the way I thought.
Yeah,
But spirit helped me.
yeah,
Spirit helped me.
yeah,
And plus, you live long enough, you can look at other people's lives
yeah.
that are not here
Right.
because they felt so guilty doing so much for other people and not taking care of themselves.
That's
It's
right.
sad.
That's right. That's exactly right. Because the truth is that loving self is a prerequisite for loving everybody else. You have to love self. You have to love self in order to love anybody else. You know what I mean?
I do. And that's something that we need to be thinking about because you really aren't able to love. I don't want nobody to try and love me that don't love themselves.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
No,
No.
because even in that, in those relationships, you can see they're not healed.
Yeah.
Eventually, the
Yeah.
toxicity is going to come out on you.
Yeah.
That's
It is.
uh-huh.
It is. It is. And you know, all things are possible, but watch out for, if when trauma meets trauma, if unhealed meets unhealed, then you got two choices. Y'all either gonna heal together and do the work, or either somebody gonna run, or either it's gonna be combustible, either you gonna, you know what I mean? If you
Yeah.
if you don't want to do that work, and that's what I love about TLC, doing the work, man. I'm talking about whether you talking about parents, when you talking about early trauma, or doing the work, because there is no there is no finding liberation in God without healing, without the healing of,
Your
old stuff.
soul.
Right,
That's
right.
until I leave the planet.
Yeah.
That's the work spirit's leading me to. I'm leading people into the deep, and if they don't want to go deep, that's fine. But until you do,
Yeah,
until you really resolve your own
right.
shit,
That's right.
forget it.
You can forget it. And if you scared, you better move out the way, like that poet says about love. You better just move out the way. If you ain't ready for love, move out the way. If you're not ready to go into that cave, you said it again the other day. The cave you enter holds the treasure that you seek. But if you don't want to go into the cave, if you don't even want to go, you want to stand on the outside of the cave and pretend, and put a mask on, and and do, uh I don't care. You can be a pastor of this, you can go to this church, you can put letters behind your name. I don't care what you do. I don't give a damn what you do. If you ain't going into that cave, nah, man, you can try to, cover it up with all type of stuff. You can even hide behind religion, hide behind
Hello.
all stuff, and not going deep. I know many people still to this who hide behind religion, who don't go into that.
Oh, me too.
Don't go into that. And quote you a scripture in a minute. And I can bring them up too. You can too when the spirit hits. But I'm talking about using it as a cover to hide, um, and not go deep. Because when you go deep, you know what? You become humble. When
Yeah.
you go deep, humility comes in. When
Yeah.
you go deep, transparency comes in. When you go deep, vulnerability comes in. When you go deep, I could told somebody today, and I'll say it again. I can say with 100%. I can say with everything in me that no weapon formed against me will ever prosper. You know what? Because I've gone in that cave. I've already gone there. And I'll go there some more. There ain't nothing you can do. Ain't nothing that life can throw at me. Nothing you can do to me, man can do to me. Um, Ain't nothing. Not because I've already been to hell, man. I created my own hell.
And we're not afraid of death.
I'm not afraid of it. I'm not
That
afraid.
part.
I'm not afraid.
You that song, The Rose, like it's the heart afraid of dying that never learns to
That's
live.
right. I'm not afraid.
And that and in this dispensation right now with all these deaths,
Yeah.
it's in our face. It's
Yeah.
in our face for us to look at what do we really believe about it? Are we eternal? Are
Yeah.
we spirit? Or are we bodies?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this a vacation or is this a permanent place on this planet? What?
Yeah, come on. Come on. That's why I am living. It's just I'm living in that place, and I'm doing I'm I I'm doing a good job at separating what happens in the world from where I need to be in here.
Me too.
Because that ain't easy. Because I feel I'm a feeler.
Me too.
You know, I work in social justice. I work in violence prevention. I do all that. I'm a feeler, and so I feel
Me too.
anger. I feel all those emotions,
Yeah.
and yet I've found a way that I can still be in. I can still my work can still be inspired by that because of that. But as for me and my house, I gotta stay connected with the
Me
truth.
too.
I gotta stay connected with the truth, and know that that truth is joy. That truth is joy and love,
Yeah.
and know how to put that where it needs to be. And so I you know, and because there's some times I know where I can get in a funk about what's going on, and it can steal my joy for a minute. You know, I know
Me
it can
too.
steal my joy for a minute,
And
and
I allowed it to. I allowed it to for
yeah,
those years that
yeah,
45 was in.
yeah,
I decided
yeah,
enough because I could see how it was really affecting me.
yeah. Me too. Me too. Yeah, so staying connected, man. And man, I just been I get up and listen to that music, and you know, um, when when I repeat that Lord's prayer, and I say, Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. That is right here. That it is right here.
Yeah.
That I'm about the business of creating it right here. And I tell you, Rev, I can do it authentically because I've done it for myself, and I
Yes.
know what it looks like to go be in the darkness. I know what it looks like to be so confused and feel like such a failure in life that you don't want to be here anymore. You know what I mean? That you have thoughts about. I know how that is.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've
Yeah.
cried for help. I've fallen to my knees. You know what I mean? I've cried. So I know. And I'll tell you one of the last things that really impacted my journey and really took me to another level. And you know, it was my mom's passing, because the amount of love. Now I was, you know, I was that was in 2008, so that was 14 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 14 years ago. Which means I was 40 some years. But the amount of love, right? The amount of love. I hear you, Jay. The amount of love and sacrifice and the honor of and you know, to taking, you know, this what you're there, of taking care of someone else. You know, the way they took care of you and be there.
Yes.
You
Yes.
were there, Red. You came over, you were there. And
Yes.
you just experience yourself. And then to to be on one side, my brother on the other side, when she takes her last breath, that what that whole experience did for me, yes, it's grief, yes, it's pain, yes, that unimaginable. But it was also rebirth for me,
Yes.
because it was like the last little uh thing that you, because you ain't controlling shit. You know, when someone is, when it's
That's
time
right.
for someone to go, you ain't controlling nothing. You know, you ain't controlling nothing.
Nope.
When you let go and let God and love them and be there, you know what? You ain't,
Love them home.
you love them
You're
home.
loving them home. You're
You know,
walking them home.
yeah, walking them home, you know. And people were saying to me, my mom was 83, people saying, you know, man, you should take your mother to see this holistic doctor. You should put her on this diet. You should put her. But I also knew, I felt from my mother that she was ready too. She was ready. She was ready. And so that was the last bit of surrender, when you're not afraid, when you are there. And so it's almost like, you know, her, you know, just like, you know, you've got kids. It's when you have children, they say that's the closest, when you give birth, that's the closest that a woman comes to death sometimes. Well, she passed away and gave me part life again. You know, I got another kid from
Wow.
birth again. And
Wow.
so and
Beautiful.
so yeah, that did that certainly um did what it's supposed to do. Spirit did what it's supposed to do, and so I I I now and have moved to, and Rev, I was always in teaching, education, doing stuff in the community, um, social justice. I would always say, I'm a humanitarian. I believe in humanity. I don't believe in these labels and things like that. But the last part of my journey, over the last 6 or 7 years, when I began to look at violence against women, when I got back in school, and you were one of my advisors when I started doing that project,
Yeah.
that that changed my life and really was the last thing to really guide me into looking at that, because it wasn't until I began. It's like this. If somebody, because there's all types of violence, all type of these isms, right? Sexism, racism. If one of our white brothers and sisters wants to understand the Black experience, then talk to some Black people, read some Black books. You know what I'm invite Black people into your experience. Read about the experience. Do that. But the same stands for men. But it wasn't until I started reading literature, feminist literature, by Black women and women, period, but particularly Black women too, that really said, "Damn, I've been looking at life through the lens of my body." You know what I mean? How we say, "God ain't no gender but God. God is it. We mother, father, it." You know what I mean? But neither with us. Spirit has no gender. But here I am showing up as a man and indoctrinated into this manhood. My lens comes through seeing as a man. So uh, I didn't see life through, because I'm about healing. I'm about love. I'm about people being well. And so now I look at, how can you not be about um, ensuring that everybody is safe and well, and seeing that. And when I began to do that, Rev, I think I told you, because I came and spoke at TLC one Sunday, and I was almost crying while I was up there talking, because not only I began to see experiences, women, I began to see your experience as a woman pastor. I began to feel what that felt like, and really feel what it felt like when you're at my mom's funeral, and you was coming to speak, and they blocked the front, so you couldn't come up on the stage, but they let all the men walk up in there. And that stuff still
And that was just 14 years
that
ago.
was just 14 years ago. That was just 14 years ago. So I can't even, um, so that has taken me to um, this spot of not only um, addressing violence against women, but addressing the unhealthy um, ways in which men are indoctrinated into this manhood, that they think they got to be in control. They think they got to dominate. They think women are second class citizens, and much of that stuff is right in the Bible. Right, much of that stuff is right in the Bible about women. Women are not made in the image of God. All that stuff, and so all the stuff that men are indoctrinated to. I'm on a mission to engage men and look at themselves and look at how they've been, socialized. And you talking about being socialized in a capitalistic society, and with the Black experience, and taking our cues from manhood, from patriarchy or down or dominant. You know what I mean? I mean, it's no sense. I do get into the Black experience and talk about that, and I talk about violence and healing everywhere, but um, we cannot mirror uh, those who wanted to control us and start controlling others. We can't mirror that. we can't adopt slave rituals to on each other and start and inflicting violence on each other. And that's the healing that we all need to do, right? That's the healing that the Black community needs to do too. It's been some serious trauma. You got that book, post-traumatic slave syndrome. It's just a lot of trauma that we experience. But until we heal together, until we come together and talk about our stories. And so that's what I do with men, and that's what I'm going to do with men. Talk about our stories and heal together and learn how to be vulnerable and transparent. Then we can take accountability. Then we can change from the inside out. Then you know how they say hurt people, traumatize the other people. It's cliche, but it is true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. So if you're well, um, I'm talking about spreading wellness in your relationships, and stop looking at this separation of man and woman, black and white, and all that. Because it is separation. And the first thing is being separate from God. That's one of our first lessons at TLC, that you are not separate from God. So initially, seeing yourself separate from God is you being violent to yourself.
Hello. Hello.
You're
Yes.
being violent to yourself. You see yourself separate from the divine, separate from love, separate from all that is.
And
You are abusing,
unworthy,
you
that
are
whole
abusing yourself.
unworthiness, that
You
whole
are abusing,
unworthiness
yeah,
piece.
you're abusing yourself. You're doing harm to yourself, you know. And so that's where it starts, right? That's where it starts. And so yeah, we have to do that for each other. Um, but yeah, that man, that separation. That's why I love that quote, Rev. Um, I think it's a philosopher, Krishnamurti, says, when you call yourself a Christian or a Muslim, I'm so beyond just religion. I'm so beyond the labels of religion
Oh,
anymore.
me too.
I'm trying, but when you call yourself those things and you really indoctrinate yourself into those things, it can breed competition. It breeds separation.
It does
You know,
breed
it breeds
separation.
separation. And as we've said before, um, there are those in this world, not just this country, in the world, who will thrive and benefit off your separation, of you being separate from God and being separate from each other, and then exploit those differences. Next thing you know, you killing your brother and sister, or you cussing them out, or you killing them spiritually. If you ain't killing them physically,
Mm-hmm.
you talking about them. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so it's all about coming back to that oneness with God. And so that's my experience. And so I'd always look at my journey as a full circle. You start where you're born in image and likeness. You're born, and then you have these experiences where you actually are returning to spirit. You actually are returning to God. You actually returning to spirit, or and just seeing yourself as that.
Yeah.
And you have, in all those experiences, you got to just bless them. You really have to bless them. All those experiences that were painful, divorce and this and that, you really have to heal from them, and you really have to see them in the larger context of leading you back to truth.
Yeah. They brought you back.
The pain brought you back to God.
The pain brought me to God. That's how I ended up. I was in so much pain.
Say something.
I needed help.
Yeah, 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 man. Yeah, that's it. And I think about now. There's Brooke.
There's
We were talking
Brooke.
about Brooke. Um,
Spence talked about you earlier, Brooke.
I sure did. I sure
Brooke
did.
was on our first Wisdom Council. She was one of the first
Sure
members of
was. Sure
TLC.
was.
And she
Yeah,
lives in
yeah,
Maryland
Brooke,
now.
Brooke is gonna laugh. She has a comedic name, Kepra. I forgot what it is. She has a comedic. We both have comedic names. And
I have one too.
no, you
Went
did from
Dr.
Charlie Ali.
That's
Charlie
not his
Ali.
name. I don't
Yeah,
even remember mine.
yeah. I know Brooks is Kepra or something. Mine is Antif Carmen Rod. Antif Carmen Rod. That was my comedic.
Wow.
So yeah.
Better call Dr. Shavi and ask her what she named me.
Tia Kepra. There it is. Brooks said Tia Kepra. That's it. Tia,
Okay.
that is it, man.
Yeah, I remember that Tea of the Crown.
That's
Okay.
man, all the people that have come and sewn into TLC. I'm thinking about Shabi Ali and all the people you've had come there, and all the people that have been there, and all the people who have. Wow.
Yeah,
Um,
she was on our first Wisdom Council too,
yeah,
Shubby. Hmm.
yeah. But if it had not been for TLC teachings, if not have not gone through a journey to be anchored in those teachings, well, I wouldn't even be where I am right now. Just and it is with Eric and I now, um, been married 12 years. 12 years, and that
And they
man
met at TLC. They met at one of the workshops.
met at TLC, and I always say we said before that if anyone wants to look at how God just orchestrates all of that, you know, because one thing leads to another, Um, because I had gone for a while and then my mom got sick, and then you came and helped watch my mom, and I remember you and Gloria came, and you came a few times and then just sat with my mom while I uh, went to the gym or did whatever I did, and when I came back to TOC, because what I understood clearly after that, Rev, what I understood clearly is that, and I don't knock anybody, whether what church you go to, whatever. But what I understood clearly was what love is and what love does.
Yes.
When you came, and love is as love does. And when you came and sat with my mind, and what that meant to me for what I was experiencing at that time, there was just no question. So when I came back, Erica was there, right? So if my mom hadn't got sick, you wouldn't have come. If you hadn't come, I wouldn't have come. You know what I mean? Love wouldn't have drawn me back. Like, you know what I mean? It's just everything.
Everything is purposeful.
Everything is purposeful, and everything has its purpose. And you know, I was laughing the other day, Red, when I think about the journey, my journey. I think about, oh man, I can picture it now. I can just picture me sitting in Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church with my mama. That's where I was christened, right? With Reverend Sampson, grew up in that church, and actually, I think I was christened by the pastor right before Reverend Sampson. But Sampson came when I was about 5 or 6 years old. Anyway, I just remember sitting next to my mom or standing next to my mom when she was singing those songs in church, and you 6, 7 years old, 8 years old, you don't know what they're singing about. You just hear them singing. But I know she was singing it. She was singing it for me. I knew that. I know now.
Yeah.
I know now.
We know what them songs mean
I know
now.
what the songs mean now.
Yeah.
I know what those songs mean now. And so and man, everybody who was at TLC, Reverend Ken used to say, this is he used to say, this is the biggest, smallest church, or the smallest, biggest church. He
The
used
smallest
to say,
church.
yes, smallest, biggest church. But it is because it is special. It is a special place. It is a special place. And
And thank you, God, because it's all God.
oh, it's all good.
All God. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And unless you're ready, you know, and unless you're ready, you come up in TLC, you got to be ready to go in, or
Or
you
you
gonna
won't,
leave,
or you won't stay.
or you won't stay. You
So,
won't stay.
so tell us, Spencer, tell us about the work you're doing now.
Yeah.
And because you started the Boys to Men program. You've worked with males for a while.
Mm-hmm,
Even at
mm-hmm.
Paul Robeson. Well, Paul
Yeah.
Robeson,
Yeah.
yeah.
At Paul Robeson, even at Paul Robeson, so I taught all male classes for about 5 or 6 years, and so I was always into um, um, mentoring boys, and then that led into the men's ministry and things like that. Um, and so what has evolved to now? And so when I moved here, and I began to understand, and the book was about religion and violence and patriarchy and violence, how that leads. There it is, how that leads to violence, and that just opened my eyes. There it is, conspiracy of silence, and so I began to realize, and this is why I named this the organization No Harm,
Okay,
because
so wait a minute, because they don't know that you're starting this organization. He's starting an organization.
I just started a nonprofit, and I got the 501c. This is how God works. So I had the idea for the nonprofit No Harm some years back, right? But then I got hired by an organization here called Men Stopping Violence, and so they kind of did the same work. And so people, when I was going to classes, was like, there's no need to really recreate another organization. I started doing the work with that organization, but I left that organization in December of last year. So the idea of No Harm came back to me, and
Mhm.
because and the reason I named it No Harm, and I'll tell you what No Harm stands for. But also, when you first of all, I understood that violence. When you talk about violence, most men, including me, back in the day, Rev, when you would hear about domestic violence or murder, suicide, or someone being shot, or someone being a victim of intimate partner violence, sexual violence, all that, most men would say, "Well, that's not me. I'm not a violent man," and they would say that because most people interpret violence as physical.
Yes.
They say, I never put my hands on anybody. I never said. But when you expand the definition, and
Mhm.
you talk about psychological, you talk about psychological and financial and all type of harm is being done, emotional violence, all type of abandonment, shutting down, claiming the truth, um,
Silence, that silent treatment. I learned that through therapy. I didn't know that that was
that
really
is violent and abusive.
violent.
And
It's
so
violence.
that's what happened. So what happened is after I did that, there's a progression. So what happened after I wrote the book and I went through my own training. I went through a 3-day training to learn about this. Then I went through my own 24. So there's an intervention course that every state has. So if a man is found to be violent on some level, right, man or woman, they go through a state intervention program, and state intervention programs are different. So Georgia's is 24 weeks. Detroit might be 34, whatever that is. Anyway, I went through the program, and I really became face to face, learned about it, learned about times when I was emotionally violent or shut down, or just withheld love or withheld emotion. All those type of things are abusive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so yeah, I learned about that. So now I became an intervention facilitator and became certified in Georgia. So I would intervene with men who've been violent or abusive on different levels, and they could be extreme levels, or it can be whatever level that is on that spectrum. And so they gave me the last 4 years, up 3 or 4 years, but I've been doing that, and so intervening with men. And so now what I do is encourage men to um, dismantle or deconstruct all those unhealthy ideas about what you learn to be a man, and kind of reconstruct it into ways of healthy manhood. So that's what I do, and that starting with self, you know,
Always,
and
right?
then that'll keep yourself safe, that'll keep women safe, children safe, your community safe. That's the idea, but it's really starting with self. So it's No Harm is the National Organization for Healing and Redefining Manhood. That's it right there. uh,
Nice.
National Organization for Healing and Redefining Manhood.
Okay.
And tell you how spirit works. When I finally decided I was going to do it, and people tell you about nonprofits. Hey, it's a lot of work, and they will try to talk you out of it. They will try to, it's a lot of work. So when you apply for nonprofit, people were saying, most people will tell you it's going to take 9 months, maybe over 9 months, to get your nonprofit status, right? That you can turn the application in, and you have to just wait for the IRS to send you your status. So my plan was, okay, send the application off. I sent it out about 8 weeks ago, right? About 8 weeks ago, 8, 9 weeks ago. And during that time, I was going to work on getting the board. You know, I talk to you and just work on all the stuff that needs to be done with you know, creating. I got the letter 7 weeks later, 8 weeks later.
Wow.
And that spirit saying to me, that's, you know what I mean? That's it. 8 weeks later. Even the consultant was like, oh man, that is unheard of.
Spirit. That's
Somehow,
spirit.
somehow
That's
yours
spirit.
and now I got 501c3, and now I'm now, you know, that's why I'm doing the website. I'm doing all that stuff now and having meetings and stuff like that, starting to make partnerships. But I still do the work. So what's going to happen is I will continue to come there. I'll be here, going into schools, going into jails, going into prisons, going into churches, going into anywhere where to do these trainings, workshops, support groups, support spaces with men and young men, to do this teaching and awareness and support each other and heal each other, so we all can heal too. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that, the healing and the redefining part
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think we mentioned this earlier. A a capitalistic society such as ours is built on, you know, power and domination and competition, stepping on each other to get ahead and doing all that, and material growth, material wealth, and how much money, and getting to the next step and all that. Um, and so, yeah, that is destructive. That is destructive. It can be, that can be very, very destructive because it doesn't take humanity. It doesn't take humanity into consideration. And so, those who are not in the dominant society or don't identify with that, um, can be harmed. You know, if men believe a certain thing about women, you know, um, women are being psychologically, spiritually. My same gender loving brothers and sisters are hurt psychologically, spiritually, politically. You know what I mean? The trans community. So I'm partnering with people. I have a partnership with a trans organization. You know what I mean? I have a
Okay.
partnership with other domestic violence organizations and doing some work. So I contract now with some other organizations now through LLC, and while I'm getting the there's no harm together. And so, yeah, you know, we got to take care of each other. And this
Yeah.
whole idea of whether it's you know, patriarch, capitalism, white supremacist ideology, you know what I mean, that all that stuff that wants to oppress, and it does harm to people. And so we have to realize that and heal ourselves, because you know, we have to heal ourselves. That's the thing about TLC. Heal your physician, heal thyself. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Stop putting the onus on Jesus to come and heal you. Jesus, your older brother, he'll show you the way, but you got to do the work.
And that's basically what he told his posse.
Yeah, that's what he told you. You got to do the work.
I done been with you all this time and showed you know what.
You know what I mean? You still call him. You still, you know what I mean? Now, hey, man, I'll say Jesus in a minute, but I understand I got to do the work. That I ain't gonna put it off. I ain't gonna put it off on him and still be the same honorary cat. Always be the same person, and then put it off on Jesus. You know, ain't nobody gonna save you. You got to save yourself. And Jesus gave us the tool. Yeshua showed us the tools how to do that. And so
Yes.
we do that at TLC. And hey, people here, I love when I think about the people at TLC. I think about how long we known each other and seeing each other, and I think of everybody at TLC and how they've grown,
Yeah.
how they're liberated,
Yeah. It's a beautiful.
and
And that's the legacy.
we've seen each other through darkness
Yes. Yes. And still love each other.
and still live with each other,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
family, you know. And so, yeah, we have to do that. And so, man, and now you talk about the blessing of the pandemic that TLC now. I mean, because it's global.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a beautiful thing. And
Yeah,
who knew, right?
who knew?
Who knew?
Who knew? Who
I knew
knew?
it was time for change, but I didn't know it was going to be this. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
very
yeah,
happy.
yeah. Man, the journey is just amazing. And sometimes I look, I'm like, God, man, God, me, you chose me, just like with Moses, you chose me. He's like me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
you.
part right there, that
Yeah,
part right there,
yeah,
see the part about the equality part,
yeah,
that we are actually see, Christians don't understand this. They don't understand what Jesus was saying.
yeah,
He we don't rob him of understanding we're equal. We
yeah.
came, he said greater things
That's right.
would we do,
That's right.
but we still want to play victim.
Yeah,
And then we want Jesus to fix it because we don't want to do the work.
that's right.
We don't want to look at ourselves.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And and all the time we want Jesus to fix it. Anybody who gets into that Jesus to fix it, they will keep running back to the church to get their fix.
Yeah, and to the pastor,
To get their
because they can't do nothing
yeah.
without asking the pastor first.
No, no, the answer, and when the answer is in here. Is in here. And and you say I'm not knocking church. I mean, listen, I'm anybody listen, I ain't knocking church, I ain't knocking praise. I pray, I do,
No, no, no.
I do all the thing. I ain't knocking.
We
That's how
talking
you can praise.
truth. That's what we talking truth.
Yeah, we
We
talk
talking
we
liberation.
talking truth. Yeah, liberation. I wouldn't want anybody to go and get their praise on Sunday and still go through hell Monday through Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And then have to run back Sunday or run back Wednesday and
Yeah,
go through hell that Monday and Tuesday in the interim. No,
it's all inside, fam.
it's all aside. We talking about true transformation. And I don't even Rev. I don't even know if you knew the impact of the name Transforming Love Community. I
I
mean,
did.
certainly you knew the words and you knew what it meant, but the impact of it. Come on.
I didn't. And I kind of, as time went on, I understood why it was not called church.
Yes. Yeah.
It's community, and it's
That's,
it's for the community.
that's right.
And we got people involved. I mean, doctor, some people have never like officially joined. You
Yeah.
don't have to.
You don't have to join.
You're part of the community if you're
You're
there.
already part of it. You already part of it. Spirit is you. That spirit is at work. You don't need to join. For,
Yeah.
for what? You don't need to join. Spirit is in the. I think Dr. Rose Moulton liberation. Yes, liberation.
You're
Liberation.
part of our community.
No
That's
doubt.
my
Yep. No.
daughter, sister, daughter.
Powerful, man. She's powerful.
Powerful.
So I mean, I think
We have so many, and we need each other. We need to. This is why I wanted this. I want to
Yeah.
help the community to understand who's in the community.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's so much goodness in the community and
Yeah.
so much that we need right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Right now. I mean,
Oh, right
right
now.
now.
Right now. Rev, I'm doing, and I'll see this. I know we're going to wrap up in about, well, next month. Next month, I'm doing a presentation with another guy for the State Violence Commission, and we're doing it about religion in the church and domestic violence. Right? We're doing.
Really?
Yeah, that's what it's going to be on.
In October?
I'm doing it September 25th through the 28th in Athens, Georgia. The whole conference is 25th through 28th. We're presenting on one of those days, but yeah, we've got to, it's much work to be done. We'll talk again. I'm so grateful for TLC and you,
Grateful for you.
because what we have is when you talk about DV, and I'm just passionate about this work, and there's many women when they experience that, the first place they go to is their church, and oftentimes they don't get the help they need for a lot of reasons. And I've seen situations. I'm in this work where um, if the pastor is and they're not in, if they're still in the old indoctrinations, will question a woman. Well, what did you do to make him mad? You know, or suggest give her suggestions to be a better wife, so that won't happen to you. You know, I think that's you know what I'm saying. So we got some work to do, and we'll do. But TLC can lead is leading the way. TLC is way before it's leading the way. And so now I feel that the dispensation we're moving into, we are right in the flow.
Aren't we? Oh yeah,
We are right
right in the
in the
flow.
flow.
Hmm.
We are right in the flow. And I'm so glad um, we stuck with it, and I'm so glad you stuck with it. Because it takes a while to see the fruit sometimes. You know, it's like a child growing up. It's like a child growing, you know, it's like your baby.
Yeah, it's like you want to call your mama and see if they can finish raising them.
And you know what? You have cultivated a culture where people like me and Royce and Danny and Ken and Linnell,
Taboo,
Babu,
Danny,
and
Dr.
Bonnie,
Rose. It's so
and
many
Rose,
great people. Dr.
yeah,
Kafera,
yeah, you know what I mean?
the good
That,
people in the
that's
community.
how you do it. It's a community. It ain't the hierarchical thing that we see. It's a community,
Yes.
decentralized, and so and it calls everybody into their own healing. That's what it does.
Yes.
It does. So I'm
Oh,
grateful.
I like that word, decentralized. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna use that.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Let me write that down. See, you know, I forget.
Write it down.
You know, I wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning with my and type write notes.
Me too. I have a pen and a pad in my bed because ideas come.
It's 2 or 3 in the morning. And Erica wake up, I'll be downstairs somewhere.
Well, let's see if our peeps have anything to say before we get off of here.
Love
I
you
know
all.
there was one question gentleman wanted to know if you were local. So he's
I
not.
I am not low. I'm in Atlanta, but my email address is Spencer at noharmlife.com. Not .org. I'm sorry. Spencer at noharmlife.org. And so I'm, you know, so
One more time, Spence, with the one more and Janice, would you put that up for us?
yep, Spencer at noharmlife.org.
No
And
harm life. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, because we live in a we're gonna start a movement living a no harm life. Do no harm. You know, we sing a song about that. Well, do no harm, right? I don't come to do you no harm. We don't need to do each other any harm. You know,
That's
um,
beautiful.
like that. So yeah, no harm life. So yeah, and soon we'll have a bunch of stuff, and so we're getting it together now. So I'm
Well, I'm
excited. I'm grateful.
excited. I'm
Yeah,
excited because our brothers
yeah, yeah.
need it.
Yeah.
You know.
I want to come there, Rev, like we did the book side. I want to come there
Well,
and
whenever.
we'll talk about the kind of a launch. I mean, I know I'm here, but some type of launch there where
Oh
we
yeah,
you know we all heal together. You know,
that's right.
we all heal together. Um, yeah, we heal together. We heal together. So, amen. And thank you. We have some comments. Someone asked a question. That
Not
was
really a question. That was the only question. They have comments.
yeah,
Dr. Fabu says, wonderful conversation, liberation.
yeah.
And then she's just quoting the name of the program, Do No Harm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now you guys know a little bit more about
Yeah.
Dr. Spencer that you didn't know. And I wanted that because, our speakers come on, but it came to me that they still don't really know who these people are just
Yeah.
because you're coming on to do a message.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is our legacy. I know that legacy is usually what you've left
Yeah.
people. You left them money, you left them buildings or whatever. But legacy for me is not that.
Yeah.
Legacy for me is what my ancestors, and really it's my spirituality.
Yeah. It is.
That is the thing that keeps me going every day. What I learned
Yeah.
from my grandfather, not from his language,
Yeah.
but how he lived his life.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. and it's only what you do for others. And so I'm here, and you're here to to make heaven on earth a reality.
That's right. And we can have it.
That's it. We can have it.
That's right.
We can have it to make it a reality.
Okay, let's pray out then. You want to pray out or you want me to pray out, Bro King?
All right, you can pray out, Rev. I'll just sit. I'm revved up.
I know. Little music. DJ DJ Love. We give her a new name tonight. DJ Love. So Most High God, thank you. Thank you for being God all by yourself. Thank you for our relationship with you. And thank you that we can wake up while we are still in a body and that we can have heaven on earth. Thank you that you are ministering to us even as we sleep. Thank you for blessing Dr. Spencer. Thank you for blessing his work. Thank you for making his way easy and successful. Thank you for bringing everything that is needed for the No Harm Project. Thank you for blessing his wife, his marriage, his life. Thank you for blessing every person that is on this call tonight. You already know what they are growing through. And I thank you in advance that you are meeting the need. Why? Because you are love, and divine love always has, and it always will meet every human need. The light of God surrounds us, and we are the light of God. The light of God penetrates our cells. We are getting healthier and healthier. The light of God attracts to us, into our lives, everything that is needed, whether it's a person, money, a know how, or a skill. We give thanks that we can surrender. We can surrender all because we know that you have our plan. And for this, we do give thanks. And thank you, God, for 25 years of transformation and love. And so it is. Amen and Ashe. Love y'all.
Love you, Rev.
Love you more.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Bye,
Peace.